It is episode 4 of Summer Term 2024, the Teacher Squad podcast with Jane Considine and me, Heather Wright. It's a great episode. What have we got coming up, Jane?
I don't know, but what is that smell? Honestly, you know what I mean? What is that? Is it a Year 6 classroom? Like, what is that smell?
Everybody recognises that smell. I'm going to be thinking about finding some balance, Jane.
I want to talk about teaching loose like yoga pants or teaching tight like some BBC leggings.
Get the talc out to squeeze into that. And I'm going to be thinking about the POV of the big bad wolf, and I'm certainly not going to be down with the kids and doing any mashups.
Yeah, don't you dare.
Don't try
yourself.
Oh God. We better get started.
Yeah. I'm ready. Heather, I am so grateful for this. Bear with me. It's not going to sound like I'm grateful because I've got to do a little bit of a tsunami.
Listen, Jay, every single gratitude, I bear with you. Every single week, and you go, and start telling this story, and I'm thinking, where's the gratitude? It's always there. It's always there, Jane. It's always there.
Moaning. There is a bit of moaning, but I think you can only feel the good stuff if you felt the bad stuff. You know, that is life. Right. Some schools you go and visit and you might get pulled into a room and a door gets shut or a stock cupboard sometimes. And people want to tell you stuff. And sometimes they're caveats or this has happened or I'm worried about this but it's sad really because and I'm this is not my own words. This is from an article that was and it just some things you really have a sticky brain for. And it was a New Yorker article, and it actually wasn't even about schools. It was just about cultures in places, And the title of the article was "The Ambient Hum of Menace." And I know that sounds a bit worrying, but I can sometimes feel that in a school. And this is about kind of toxic schools where teachers feel really uncertain and a bit precarious and over scrutinized and over audited and a bit devalued, and sometimes things aren't working and they feel a bit threatened, and it can be for all sorts of reasons, and the problem is we can get very worn out very quickly. So I think a lot of our work through what we do is trying to refocus people to kind of sometimes heal these parts of schools, and something like reading for pleasure, it's going to heal a school. Of course it is, because we know that if children read and if children read deeply, it's going to make them happier. And if we can make children happier, we can make a school happier. We can make, there's lots of things we can do through our work, which isn't the obvious. And I just want to say that I'm really grateful, almost sometimes against the odds. And I'm talking about schools now that have been in categories. I'm talking about schools that in coastal areas around the country. I'm talking about high levels of socio-economic deprivation that we can still build. I don't even know what the PC word for this is. Well, of course I do really, but what I call it just feels like a really cute and comfortable school. It's very real, it's very authentic. And this school, well, there's been a few, so I'm not going to mention, there's been a few schools I've been in recently where I've just caught two teachers cuddling, like a very lovely, lovable, professional cuddle. I've caught teachers saying, look, I'll do the coffee, you do the stuff. Obviously, I don't know what the stuff is, but they've got to go and do the stuff. I've caught teachers saying when they don't know I'm there, did you go to the doctor? That is lovely checking in, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I've remembered you've told me that, and I've said it the next day.
Mm.
Did you go to the doctor? Um, and Also, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this like the gnarly cow that I am. I am not up for these staff rooms where you can't get a mug and all coffee is locked away. That is not the one. I'm sorry. That is not conducive for a school family. There are other ways that we can share the financial load of that, but we've got to be a sharing family community. I
Mm.
actually really do like the in jokes, the eye rolls, and Becky's having Tantastics for breakfast because that's how she gets through the day. Let her have Tantastic Haribos for breakfast. So yeah, I love particularly schools that have been able to do that when they've had to carry harsh labels for a long time and they've been in categories, and that you go and they're still in a category,
Yeah.
but they are just there for each other. And that is the one in it, Heather. That is the one.
Absolutely. It sounds a bit soppy, doesn't it? But it's genuine kind of it's love, isn't it? There's a sense of being there together. You pick me up when I'm down and I'll pick you up when you're down.
Yeah.
And you're right, you can feel that when you visit different places.
Yes.
Um, when they just look you in the eye genuinely when you walk in, and they just breathe and give you the time as a
Yeah.
visitor, and
Yeah.
say,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you want a coffee? Do you want a drink?
Yeah.
Or and then whether they
But they
can
also
relax
see,
into that conversation with
yeah,
you.
because we enter schools saying, the minute I walk over the threshold, I'm part of your family too, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
bring all of my professionalism, and we're gonna have to work as a team now, and it's gonna be real and authentic, and I'm gonna
Mm,
really tune in a kind way to where you are, and vice versa. And that's when a school has got the culture right, and I'm just really grateful for those schools where
definitely.
the people make the place. Um,
People,
Also,
human, that's what it is, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
It's about
yeah, yeah,
being human, allowing each other to be human, and,
yeah. And in that,
yeah.
of course, we have to be vulnerable, don't we? And we have to say when we're struggling and we're not
Yeah.
coping. Um, the other thing I'm grateful for is, uh, well, a year six child
Mhm.
telling me some new information I didn't know about, which is the number sex, which I can remember, sextillion, and why this child
Wonder
wanted
why
to.
you can remember it.
Don't know, but I wonder why the kid can remember it. Don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Sextillion, a number I didn't even know existed. It is, but they wanted to tell me about 2025 sextillion, because 25 sextillion has 21 zeros, and that is the amount. And they were learning this in science, the amount of oxygen molecules that you breathe in at any one
Wow.
time. I mean, that is some serious year six teacher passing over that information. So yeah, if you are worried about sex
Mm.
education in year six, don't worry, because you can just say we're going to start with sextillions. Yeah, first before we get
Are
to the other stuff.
are you a sextillion, Jane?
Yeah, well, yeah, I am when I'm breathing in. Yeah, absolutely.
I love
So
that, and I think kids love those nuggets of extra curiosity, don't they? And
yeah,
those bits stick in their brain along
yeah,
with the kind of the level bits that you wanted them to, but there's
yeah, yeah.
that spark of interest. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
love that. Yeah, yeah, super facts. There are kids who just love those, the out of the ordinary
Yeah.
stuff. What are you grateful for, Heather?
I'm grateful for a bit of balance, Jane.
Is
I've
that
been
your flat
hopping.
shoes? Flat shoes again?
Always flat shoes, and well, it's a bit of a precarious time at the moment for shoes because we've had some false starts on the old spring, and I've been
Mm,
in the boots and then gone,
mm,
oh, it's time to get
mm,
the toes out, bring on the Birkenstocks, and
mm.
then I've gone,
You're
no,
not
no,
pushing your cuticles
gone.
back though, babe. I don't know why you
Uh,
can bring them Birkenstocks out.
don't judge my cuticles. Well, the Birkenstocks have been out, and uh, yeah, I've totally lost my train of thought. Now you've told me off about not pushing me
Sorry.
cuticles
Sorry.
back.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been in and out of the Birkenstocks. That was the point I made. But balance, which is really important, isn't it? I have been hopping around loads of schools around the southwest, taking gorgeous Sarah Tagholm author into schools, and it's been bonkers. It's been wonderful, but it's been very, very busy and quite a bit of travelling. And I know you
Yes.
know the whole
You're not
travel
gonna get any sympathy from
tiredness.
me, babe.
There is no sympathy, but it's been nice at the weekends to just prioritize balance and go, okay, what I need to do is refill and sunshine, family, beach, dog walks, nice food, and just chilling out time to get my head back into some space. So I'm
Mm.
grateful for that. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that
Yeah.
start of summer term, teachers, well, we're into it a bit now, but teachers are making sure that even though it's a crazy term, isn't it? We
Yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
exams,
Yeah.
there's trips,
Yeah.
residentials,
Yeah.
all kinds of things going on, that we don't forget self, and teachers make the time for balance so that they can keep coming back and giving.
Yeah.
um yeah.
And self can take lots of different forms, can't it? And it doesn't take a lot
Mm.
sometimes to make yourself feel a bit better. That lovely little bit of Lindt chocolate, or you
Mm.
go and wash your hair. You know what I mean? You got to do all of that.
It's definitely
Um,
on the luxury list for me, washing my hair.
all right. Shave your legs, babe. Shave your legs,
Oh
and
yeah,
I
that's
can't be off.
that's that's definitely a luxury. I'm not sure who that's a luxury for, him or me, but there we go.
Have a feel of them. Oh,
Mm.
lovely.
Have I
Um,
told you my spiky leg story? I'm
yeah,
sure I have. I think I've
yeah,
told you. I won't
yeah.
go there again. But we just know that I'm a bit lazy. I can't be bothered with things like pushing
Oh,
cuticles back.
yeah, what you're supposed to say now, Heather, "Oh, I've noticed you've had your hair done, darling, and you've painted your nails." Do you know what I mean? I've done so much glamour self-care over here. Do you know what I mean?
Need some attention, Jane. Listen,
Oh,
before
what?
we started recording, don't make me out to not be that
No,
kind of
what?
person who
No.
has the necklace of noticing. I
Yeah.
said, your hair looks great. And you
Oh,
smile
you
little. Oh, I'm
did.
all bougie.
Yeah,
Bougie. How cool are
yeah.
you?
Right. What I actually want to talk about that's very teacherly this week is a recognition. And I just think this is so helpful for us as teachers, that we need to um, consider that when we're teaching, we think about two modes of teaching, that it isn't all just at a pelt stuff. And
Mm,
we need this idea where we are sometimes quite loose and like really tuned into kind of ensuring children, like we have two types of teaching. One of them is very experiential, one of them is very let's live this together, one
mm,
of them is I just want us to enjoy finding out new knowledge. We need knowledge to understand our world. It's a bit like, it's called foundation stage for a reason. It's like we've got to stop this start at year 6 and disseminate it down. We've got to flip the model the other way around. Let's get it
mm.
right at the beginning and permeate it upwards. I don't know if you can permeate upwards, actually. That's probably a bit
One for the
rubbish.
scientists.
Don't email us, not interested. Uh, so essentially, it's the, in foundation stage, we want them to have good knowledge and understanding of the world, but that
Mm,
shouldn't stop, because kids can, it's particularly in terms of reading and particularly in terms of writing, they need knowledge and they need a context. Context is king, and how they can really get deep knowledge is experience stuff.
Yeah.
And so we need to have almost like two modes of teaching. The experience mode, which can be real. I'm taking you on a walk. We're going to bake bread at Asda. We're going to meet Brian in the community who races pigeons. No, we're not. He's a weirdo. I can't do that risk assessment. What?
I
We're
was
not
going
doing
to
that.
say that's a risk assessment.
Like what? That is like forget. We're not. Whose idea was that? Oh shit idea. Anyway,
Unforgettable trip. Go on,
yeah,
moving on.
yeah. Moving on. We're not doing that. So the experience session, great. And the purpose of it is, I actually want you to love learning, kids. Like there's got to be
Yeah.
some point where we're enjoying it, they're enjoying it. We know kids who enjoy the teaching and learning exchange, particularly in writing, are 7 times more likely to be great depth writers. So we need this loose time. I mean, we're thinking more like, like yoga pant loose. But then there's this other point of teaching where it's actually quite tight. We're thinking, your PVC jeggings, that sort of teaching where it's it's got more fidelity, it's explicit, I'm teaching you stuff, it's tightly modeled, I know where I'm driving this. But
It will be tightly modelled if it's PVC, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. There's your camel toe. Hi, honey.
Oh, too far.
What? Always lower the tone. But our summer term children, our summer born, kids, when they arrive with us in reception, they've got 25% less life experience. Now, I don't care
Huge,
what
isn't it?
it's huge. And I don't care what anybody says. If you are listening in your car or on your way home or in your kitchen, it's a weekend, and you teach year 3 or 4 currently in primary school, that is the toughest year to teach, because these are the kids who they weren't at nursery, they weren't, if they were in year 3 and they weren't in reception, and these kids
Missed
have
so
missed
much.
out on developing key skills. They have missed so much. And we can feel it when we're teaching year 3 and 4. When schools say to me, you've got to go and teach in the early years, I'm like, yeah, bring it on. When it's also not too bad when they say go and teach in year 6, but when they go and teach in year 3 and 4, I'm like, at the moment, I'm like, sorry, that is that those 2 years, in my opinion, because of that missed foundation stage stuff, we're really feeling it. I mean, can I tell you a secret, Heather?
Well, you can, but there might be other people listening, Jane, but I won't tell them.
Good. I hate teaching year 3 anyway. At the best of times.
Do you? See, I love
Yeah.
year 3. I think year 3 is a great year group because they're still a little bit young and kind of like think, you're great, miss. But then they're starting to give you a little bit more. I like year 3. Big up year 3 teachers.
I'll tell you what, year 3 for me, pre-COVID, were always like, oh my God, they're so fussy. Miss, can I turn the page? They're so kind of feel so fragile. They're starting to get a little bit more self-aware, and they want to be doing more teacher please. And it just feels like, oh, you've lost that sort of big confidence of being the top of key stage 1. They just feel like, oh God, it's so difficult to teach. Little fuss parts, it's a bit tearful. Oh God, we're going to get nowhere quick. So yeah, I'd never liked year 3 much anyway. Obviously, when I get there, I love them all. I just find myself really tearful at the moment when I'm teaching, and I just think it's the world at the moment, and war, and lots of children who are wandering a war-torn country without their mums and dads. I just find everything we can't even do that. But I just find everything about children and their lives really hard at the moment, and the kids are just breaking my heart whenever I go and teach them. Some of the things they come out with, I mean, it's just. Yeah, maybe I need to go and sort out my estrogen patch, and maybe I'm not in the right dose.
Are you all right, Jane?
I'm all right. I've been better. I'm all right. You know. Heather, can you ease my mind with some wonder of words, please?
Well, yeah, and maybe you need some of the same adaptations as the character in the book that I'm going to share with you. I've been thinking
Yes.
about kind of different alternative fairy tales. We love an alternate to a fairy tale for writing,
Yes.
don't we? And
Yes.
in our March teacher Reading Rock subscription box, in the lower key stage 2, we had this cracker from Ben Miller,
That
Diary
is
of a Big Bad Wolf,
that is a cracker.
from the wolf's POV, which is what all the trendy kids say, isn't it? Illustrated by Eliza Paganelli. Gorgeous, brilliant. And it got me thinking about alternatives. And I wanted to share with you a picture book. I'm not sure if you've seen this one before.
I haven't.
Gina Kaminsky
Mm,
Say the Wolf. Now, it's
mm,
written by Craig Barr Green, who is an author that lives down here in gorgeous Cornwall, and will be appearing at our festival, St. Austell Festival of Children's Literature in June, which is
mm.
exciting. And it's illustrated
Yes.
by Francis Martin. Now, it must be good because on the front, it's got a Jacqueline Wilson quote: "I love Gina Kaminsky." Um, so it's a it's obviously a bit of a kind of mix up on
Mash up. It's a mash up, Heather.
it's a mash up of Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. I can't believe you just made me say that. I'm going to be so embarrassed.
Hey, it's all right. We're friends.
Such a like, oh, you middle-aged mum, that is so embarrassing. Oh,
Luckily,
let me just.
your child is young enough to love everything you do, so you're all
Well, no,
right.
she's borderline now. It's just go, oh, mum, that was so embarrassing.
Cringe,
Anyway,
cringe.
moving very, very quickly on so everybody forgets that I was that embarrassing. Gina Kaminsky, our hero character, is a confident autistic child, and we see in the book how she's got a wonderful I assume teaching assistant who helps her out, who's called Anya, who just adapts things along the way to help Gina at school. And it starts off with some gorgeous end papers, which are loads of emojis, but these are actually the pictorial representations that feature on her little chart that she kind of communicates to say how she is feeling. So I'm just going to do a little snippet from the beginning and a bit at the end. School is rubbish today. There are 3 reasons why. Number 1, the classroom is too hot. 2, the classroom is too smelly. 3, worst of all, the classroom is too loud. Using my chart, I feel like this. And we get the little emoji that shows she's sad. I go to the reading room with Anya. The reading room is not too hot, too smelly, or too loud. Anya says she will read to me and gives me a choice between 2 books. Choosing is, and there's a little emoji that just shows a bit of a frustrated face.
Mm.
So Anya picks Little Red Riding Hood. This is what happens in the story. And in a similar way, last week that our characters were immersed in the film, Gina goes into the fairy tale and she fixes some problems with it. But you'll have to read the book to see what she does. But right at the end, when I get back to the reading room, Anya says, Gina, do you still want to talk about the 3 mistakes? No, I sorted them and I got cake, I say. Well, that's good. Should we go back to the classroom? Anya asks. I take the big book of wolves with me. The afternoon is not rubbish. I save the wolf. I even managed to visit him in the big book. Using my chart, I am feeling like this. And then there are 3 different smiley emojis to show that she's got back into class and enjoyed. So a nice alternative and a good one to kind of get children understanding different needs. Lovely, nice.
Yeah. And they're friends in their class and everyone's unique and different
Uh-huh.
and another way to kind of understand school. When you talk there about, I'm actually really sound sensitive and smell sensitive. I really have those really turned up on just on a personal level, and so teaching in year 6 is very challenging to me because I can smell that old BO on jumpers, the bean farts. I can
Oh,
smell that. So
there's nothing
how can
like walking into a year 6 classroom and that wall of clamminess just
yeah, yeah,
hitting you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you can see in classrooms with lots of things that trigger children and adults and make it a not so
yeah,
comfortable place
yeah, yeah,
uh, to learn. So big up the Anyas who make little adaptations so that
yes.
like opening the window and letting the smell out,
Thank God.
so that we can all be in a more comfortable state for learning.
Right. I spotted this in a school library and
Oh,
it is amazing. Do you know this? It's
yeah.
called The Happy Nudes by Emily Coxhead, and we're going to link you on our podcast because we love this. It's a celebration of amazing news, and I saw 2 children reading this. It's bite-sized chunks, positive articles, but I just love this. Rebecca Kirk is a writer from West Yorkshire, and each issue in this newspaper, she pens a page of advice to her son, Casper. And I'm going to read that letter. I needed
Lovely.
to read this letter on this day, and it's just so wonderful. What she does is writes these letters, and she's going to give them to Casper on his 18th birthday. And she
Oh,
writes
wow.
one every week. And isn't that just lovely?
I love
Um,
that.
so a weekly letter as a mum presented down the line. Dear Casper, think of the last time you experienced something new, good, bad, or ugly, anything new. What was it? What were the highs? What were the lows? The mistakes, the breakthroughs. How did the lows feel? How did the breakthroughs feel? How do you feel about the way you handled the journey looking back? What can you learn from it? How can you grow from it? What has it taught you? This thing you experience and that you're thinking of now, well, that was an adventure. You may not have recognized it at the time, but upon reflection, it was an adventure, wasn't it? Whether purposeful or forced upon you, any learning experience can be viewed as an adventure. In particular, I find that viewing hard times as one of life's many adventures is cathartic and healing. I believe when we reflect upon any impactful experience within the mindset of considering it an adventure and part of life, we can squeeze more learning out of it. And then we are able to, when actually we're in the thick of it. Maybe even this detached mindset, not just saying it's been an adventure, but meaning it upon real considered acknowledgement. Well, is that the path to ultimate wisdom? After all, doesn't wisdom come from relating to something garnered through personal experience, viewed in an objective way? I originally drafted this adventure themed letter focusing on my various brushes with death while backpacking in 2008, but something deep down was telling me it wasn't valuable to you in terms of guiding you. It might be interesting, but I want this to be valuable for you. And when I picture you properly reading these letters, I picture you doing so when I'm dead, which is another great adventure. Sure, you may skim these letters before that, but I don't think you'll really appreciate them until this is the only way you can hear my voice. So I thought I'd better listen to what my inner self was telling me and rewrite it. And thus, this letter forms part of my latest adventure, which is learning to listen to the tapping of something within, imploring me to listen to my instincts. Learning to listen to my inner voice has been an adventure that started a few years ago and is still a work in progress. Although it's invisible and non-dramatic, it's as much as an adventure as backpacking was. And what's the difference, really? They're both about recognizing discovery. Adventures are made up of dark and light, of mistakes and growth, highs and lows, whether travel or grief or anything in between. It's all under this umbrella of lived experience. And what we make of that lived experience, including the dark times, is part of that. Like, it's an adventure within. Life is both ugly and beautiful. And it's what we choose to take from these opposing aspects that is both our legacy and our impact upon the world. Love, Mum.
Wow. Whew.
Big, isn't it? Big
Very
thinking.
big.
That.
Deep, that, Jane. And yeah, lots to take in.
And actually, if you are a mum, that seems like almost like a call to action to me. Like, maybe we should write down for a legacy for our children down the line, really.
Or maybe our children, Jane, are just going to have to listen to us go on this podcast.
Oh my God, the poor things. God, they'll just
What a
hate us.
legacy.
What a legacy. You and your embarrassing mashups. Oh my goodness.
Oh, don't mention it again. We need to go. We need to go.
Yeah, we do need to go. But people know that I'm coming to Manchester. I want to just say on the 7th of June, if you want to be trained and hear it from the horse's mouth, me, 7th of June in Manchester, training on the right stuff. You want to really know what it's about? Don't listen to what other people are saying. If you've not heard it here first, come and have a listen. www.janeconsidine.com. Save your seat. Heather, anything you want to tell us about?
Well, I did hint, and I'm still only hinting about the big author week that we've coming up in June, but it is going to be taking place in the 17th of June, the week beginning the 17th of June. It's going to be big, it's going to be exciting, but in the meantime, hop over to wherereadingrocks.com. Come and join us on one of our virtual author events whilst you can grab a free credit. They're just brilliant, Jane, and inspiring and engaging, and they are definitely interactive. We've got loads of brilliant authors on the calendar. Go and have a look.
And what's great about having a virtual author experience is, well, for those authors, they don't have to smell the bean farts. Love that.
Right. Until we get an invention for smell-o-vision, yes, we can avoid that.
Okay, so Heather, it is always an absolute joy. And I know it is big love from Heather.
And it's a total joy to work with you each week, Jane. And it's Heartbursts from the very bougie, beautifully hairstyled Jane Considine. And we cannot wait to see you all next week.
Bye, everyone. Oh, love that, bean farts. Nice.